Wednesday, 14th day of October, 2020. Wiley the Board series. Now, my first-time listeners, Wiley the Board series is YFM's innovative radio programming content to develop the youth and provide inspiration to our listeners. Stats reveal that Ghana's population is young, with about 61% being 30 years and below. The International Labour Organization's ILO's Youth and Future Work of Service shows that about one-third of the youth in emerging and developing countries view their future work life with fear and uncertainty. Why? Because there's not much to learn from practically. YFM is Ghana's #1 youth and urban station with year-on-year dominance in radio programming, according to the Geopoll. We therefore deem it a responsibility to add to the bouquet of creative and informative content on our station by hosting leaders and achievers in various sectors and industries in Ghana and beyond, in bringing hope, meaning, development, and of course leadership coaching tips to our vibrant listenership. Follow us on radio and across our digital platforms as well. So moving on straight to today's guests. Well, let me borrow the words of one of Ghana's most iconic statesmen, Kofi Annan. According to him, there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. Indeed, most African communities and other progressive societies across the world have been effectively transformed by the ingenuity, commitment, and resilience of women, especially in various leadership roles or as matriarchs of development. Even more profound, the work of coaches and gender advocates and feminists who are leading the charge to empower women and help, create an enabling environment for gender parity and, social justice. One of such trendsetters is our honored guest on the Wiley the Board series this morning. She is a native of Cape Coast, Yukrum, in the Central Region, but was born and bred in Tema. An alumnus of Infantiman Girls School and GIJ, she started off in the studios of Ghana Television, working her way up, through floor management to a newscaster and, of course, a presenter, later becoming a life coach and a gender advocate. Oheneyere Gifty Anti is the CEO of GDA Concepts and host of Standpoint, and is our guest on the Wiley the Board series today. So she's seated right here with us. We're going to welcome her YFM style. Oheneyere Gifty Anti, welcome to YFM.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege
to be here.
To be interviewed by my son, who is a prodigal son.
I apologize. It's been what, 3 years? Don't say 5 years. It's been 3. I know very well. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
Winnie and I came to the mall,
yes.
and then we met.
Yes.
And then we followed you to go and fix your hair. Mm-hmm. You didn't want us to leave. Mm-hmm. We ended up staying there for about 2 hours to wait for you. Shout going out to Winnie, by the way. Wow. So I want to start off by finding out one thing, all right? So yesterday when I posted your picture, a friend of mine texted to find out what's the difference between Oheneyere and Ohima. Who's an Ohima and who's Oheneyere?
Thank you for this opportunity. Okay. So, Ohima is someone from the royal family of the traditional area.
Okay.
So, in Edumasa, the Ohima is someone from the royal family of Edumasa.
Okay.
Who is the queen mother. Ohima is the queen mother. Oheneyere is the chief's wife, who is a queen, but not a queen mother.
Okay.
Do you get the difference?
I get it.
I'm not from Edumasa. I'm from the royal family of Asempenyi.
Okay.
In the Central Region. But I'm not from the royal family of Edumasa. I always say that I'm an associate royal of Edumasa. But the queen mother, the Ohima, is from the royal family of that traditional area, the town, the village, or the traditional area.
All right, so
that's the difference.
Being an Oheneyere,
yes,
or the wife of a king, doesn't make you a queen mother.
No.
All right.
It doesn't make you a queen mother.
All right, we're clear on that.
Yeah, but there are some wives of you who are queen mothers.
Okay.
Do you get it? Some of them are no, they are not from the family. So maybe they could be made development, queen mother of that area, or she may be a queen mother from another family. Okay. So, for example, I could be a queen mother from my hometown, Asempenyi, and married to the chief of Edumasa, which is I become Oheneyere of Nana and Sakwa, but I may be queen mother of Asempenyi.
Back in your hometown.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. I think it's all clear now. Asafo, are you good now? Said Rev, if you don't ask this question, I'm not listening to you no more. That is cleared. Anyways, welcome. So let's start from the beginning. Right. I want to find out where Gifty Anti grew up, where you were born. I was told you were born in Tema.
Yes.
How were your days like growing up in Tema?
So I have a very controversial background.
Okay.
First of all, let me say shout out to all the Tema chicks. Tema chicks never spoil.
Never.
Yeah, that's what I wrote on Facebook today. Tema chicks never spoil. You know, I was conceived at Aflao in the Volta region, born at Chebi in the eastern region, and raised in Tema.
Wait, you were conceived in the Volta region?
Yes.
Born in the eastern region?
In Chebi, yes.
And raised in Tema?
Yeah, and I still live in Tema.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So, that means you don't have the passport to Tema.
I own the passport to Tema.
You have maybe resident permits.
I have, you know, I own the residence and key to Tema. I've lived in Tema all my life.
So what if one day we wake up and the people in Chebi want to claim you? Because that's where you were born. They bring your passport, a Chebi passport.
Oh, these days they are dual citizenship.
So you can combine, right?
But I'm Tema for life.
You're Tema
I love
for life.
Tema.
I like that.
I went to primary school in Tema. I grew up in Tema. You know, I still live in Tema. I managed to convince the chief for us to move to Tema. You know, Charlie, never underestimate the power of a woman, you know.
How were your days like? You mentioned school. Which school did you attend?
Okay, the name of my school is a whole paragraph.
Okay.
Tema Community 8, number 1 primary and middle school.
Tema Community 8,
number 1.
Number 1.
Primary and middle school.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of student were you?
Saito.
Oh, it's a Saito?
Saito, yes, complete Saito.
You didn't go to an international school?
No. So, you know, your father and your little sister, they always say I'm jealous of them because I didn't go to international school, but school,
you know,
that makes me hardcore, you know. But interestingly, I mean, you asked what kind of student I was. By the grace of God, I was a very brilliant student. I did very well. So I sat for the common entrance in Form 2.
Okay.
And went to Infant Mine Girls Secondary School. Those days, you have to go to Form 4 to write the common entrance. But I sat for the common entrance in Form 2 because my father was all about education.
Yeah.
You know, he was born 1916, you know, Presbyterian trained, a proud Achim man from Kedin Kwantanai. You know, he went to Sanford, but then he was always reading and he loves reading and would always encourage us to read. And he kept telling us that when it comes to education, he will stop at nothing to make sure we get the best.
And you had
of
the
education. Best. Yeah, and he did give me the best. He made sure he lived. He was in, you know, some difficult times and went into coma, but he made sure I completed my master's degree. The day I wrote my last paper, that was the day he died.
May his soul rest in perfect
4th of August, 2005.
So
Never
he literally
forget that.
stayed by you throughout until you were done.
Yeah.
May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Now, what the family, I mean, you've given us a clear picture of the kind of family you grew up in. What were some of the things you used to do as a kid? I mean, the fondest memories you had? Things you would do aside studying? Were you into sports? Did you love music?
I love music. I was entertainment prefect of Infants Man.
Go you.
Hey, man. And throughout primary school, I was always either dancing, cultural dance, or modeling. Or I used to be a fine chick, you know. Have you seen my picture today on social media?
No, you.
Fine chick.
We're going to post it on YFM now.
Don't mind me, you know. But I loved sports, though I wasn't the best.
Okay.
But I was the type that, you know, I had to be in there to make it more fun and more, you know, exciting.
Okay, I get it.
You know, yeah, you have to be in there. Infant Man, I was the chief Dede events leader.
Like the Jama squad leader.
The Jama squad. I have to be there. You know, I joined the athletes group because on weekends we'll have to jog to Saul Pond to go and buy Fanti Kinky. So I'll be, you know, lacking behind, but I'll still go and buy my Kinky and come. That was me. But I had a wonderful childhood. My father was a hands-on dad. Most memorable moments were during Christmas, and he'll bring me to Accra Circle. There used to be there was a proper circle, and then Christmas, Kingsway. My father used to work at Kingsway, and there will be, you know, the lightning, the Christmas tree decoration, and then there'll be lightning to come and watch, and he carry me on his shoulders, and you know, it was so exciting.
Wow.
I played Chaskele. I still have the mark on my face to show for it. What we played with, you know, I used to build coal pot and cars with milk tins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were the hard girl.
I was there. You know, I had to be in there. You know, one of the things that I realized, when they say peer pressure, peer pressure is so real. Because of the background I was coming from, there wasn't, much money at home. But then everybody around me, I don't remember any of my friends I grew up in the area who went to Saito like me. All of them went to international school. So there was always, that desire to belong to. So you need to do something extraordinary, kind of thing. So
I get it.
You close from school at Tema, come to Saito, and then I'll walk to Datus to go and wait for my cousin. Then we'll walk to Des to go and wait for another person. I mean, I think about it. What was I thinking? But then it was all an attempt to belong, to be a part of it. But I have no regrets. I didn't have the opportunity of playing with dolls, or I tell people I never had a birthday party, but there was love. My dad was everything, very hands-on. Yeah.
Wow. Throughout your childhood days, I mean, what were some of the ideals and principles you learned or developed, once that you've been holding on to still, till now?
My father used to say, for your good, not your goods, to make an impact, to give and give and give. I was told that when I was born, I was named Nancy. And then my father changed my name to Gifty because he said I was very kind. And that was my father. My father instilled that spirit of giving. So during Christmas, Easter, my father would bring home about 6 bottles of minerals. And our next door neighbors who have crates of minerals, my father will still send us to take 2 bottles to
each to
one, So by the time we finish, we have about 6 or 8 in the house. We have only 3 bottles to share. I mean, but that was my dad. That my father too. I mean, the spirit of giving, compassion, and humility. I don't know, I've told the story before when I started coming on TV. And I thought I was all that. One early morning, this breakfast show was the first ever.
It was the first, first of its kind,
morning show on TV in Ghana. So, sister was on and was feeling all that. One day, my dad, it used to be only on Thursdays. One Monday morning, my dad woke me up early in the morning and asked me to sweep the gutter in front of our house.
While you were a star.
And the gutter too wasn't that high, so it was short. And where we lived in Tamakomti 8, U Road, all the buses, the company buses used to drive around the workers and all that. And I was sweeping, the people with the buses were passing, and they were like, oh, isn't that a woman on TV? Isn't that girl on TV? And all that. So after sweeping, I went to my room, went to cry. My dad came and said, listen, this is not to punish you, but this to let you know that you are the least in this family. You are the youngest in the family. Don't ever let it, I don't know where my dad got this from, but he says there's something called the curse of stardom. If you let it get into your head, it will mess you up. So he told me never to forget where I'm coming from. I should know that this is just a privilege. Of all my siblings, 8 children, I'm the last. But God was merciful and chose me and gave me this opportunity. And that I should never forget that whilst I'm busy messing up, somebody is busy warming up to take over from me. So I shouldn't mess up, never forget. And that, along the line, yes, I messed up a bit, sometimes it gets into your head, but I never forgot that experience. So I always remember that it's just by grace. It's just a privilege for me to be. It could be anybody. I've been on TV for God knows almost 25 years. How come I'm still relevant? I'm 50 years and 9 months. I'm still being used as influencer. What is it? Nothing extraordinary. But then there's something special that God is using for.
Guys, if you're in the mood like I am, if you are in the spirits, kindly get on Twitter now with the hashtag Wiley the Board Series. There's a lot more to be shared. A lot more coming up. We still have Oheneyere Gifty Anti in the studios with us, sharing her life story with us. Let's go back a little bit into your days at Infantiman. What were some of the things that prepared you for your transition into GIG? You tell us that, and then you tell us how you even went into GIG.
Infantiman was exciting again. the sense of, my book, my latest book, 50 Nuggets at 50, I wrote about how everybody was my friend, but I knew I had no friend, because you feel lost out.
Relate, yeah.
Yeah, you lost out, and you're just everywhere trying to keep up, because again, everybody around you seems to be, whether it's true or not, whether it's, it's just keeping up or appearances or not, but everybody seems to have come from, some kind of home and had everything, and so you have to. So I was part of everything. Girls' Guide,
drama group,
everywhere. I was everywhere.
You were playing sports at some point. Wow.
Modeling for school, dancing for school, and all that. And one of my greatest regrets, because I say this to the glory of God, I wasn't a bad student.
Okay.
I was a good student from, secondary school, especially from my primary school, especially Form 1 and Form 2 at Saito, there were 3 of us, and we were always top 3. When I went to Fansman too, I was very good. And then this whole thing of peer pressure and trying to belong got into. So I never had a prize during speech day. And that, when I think about it, breaks me. But I say to the glory of God, at least I made my father proud before he died, because he really sacrificed for me. Really sacrificed. So I remember the first time I saw my dad very teary was when he looked through my trunk and he saw certificates upon certificates.
Wow.
Dancing, modeling, not kind of that educational kind of, but in the long run, it also helped me. It built my confidence, but then he didn't know that he would have wished, you'll be speech day, mention Gifty Anti, and you'll be excited about it. And he made me promise that I was going to make him proud. And he did tell me that he was proud of me, and he thanks me for making him proud before he died, because everywhere he went to, my dad could use my name to at the hospital. He will walk to the hospital and say, "I'm Gifty Anti's father," and he will get all the doors open for him.
Fast track service.
But Infantsma was very exciting, very educative. It built. They call us man side.
Yes.
And our motto also imbibes something in us. Obranye warabo, obra pasujo ra kwan ampa. Life is what you make it.
Yes.
And the kind of life that you lead, the good one, actually sees you through life.
That's true.
And it becomes us. We live it, unless you really didn't want to. By then everything we do. I remember in the 80s we staged a coup. Yours truly was part of it. We used to have, mock parliament, and those were the coup days. Mock parliament. My side of the party, we lost.
You guys lost,
but we didn't agree. We had to stage a coup, and then we locked out to the party that won, and we took over the dining hall for some hours.
You captured
ate all the food we captured, and we were well punished too, But Infantsma was exciting. I didn't plan on going to GIJ.
Okay.
No. I wanted to do land economy. And from everything I've been saying so far, you can tell that I didn't have that kind of privileged background in terms of financial.
True.
So all I wanted to do was to make my father proud, to be able to make some money and then, take care of my father and take care of myself, and if possible, do good as my father would insist that we do. And so those times, all around us, those seniors or people I could see that were making money were the land economists. They were the ones, if Karl Marx is listening to me, hello, Karl Marx. They were the big boys, so we wanted to do land economy. It was take or suicide. I tried. In fact, there's some people who still think that I went to take a whole semester. I was at tech, hustling to get land economy. I didn't get. I was at Africa Hall. Me, I was patching.
You were patching.
But I was part of everything. Can you imagine? So I was. A lot of people who thought that, but I didn't get admission. I came back. My brother told me to go and try GIJ. I wanted to do PR once again, because those time PR guys were the ones who had money. They were the ones who were sharing the solly. So definitely they had money. I wanted to do land economy, and I wanted to do PR. And I did everything. They said, no, they'll give me journalism. I wrote first exam, I passed. Second exam, I passed. Went through, I think those times we used to have 2 or 3 interviews. I went through all of them, I passed. And every step of the interview, I was told, you'll be good for journalism. I was like, what is that?
But you were aiming for PR.
I want PR. My letter came and it was journalism. And then one good friend of mine told me, don't worry, you can still do journalism and become a public relations officer. So that's what I did. I did journalism. I started doing my internship at Internal Revenue then. Then in the office of the late former president, Professor John Atta Mills, may he rest in peace. His PR, he was, his department, and I was working at the PR department. And one man one day just said to me, Gifty, I think you should go and try a media house. If you don't like it, come back.
Okay.
And I'll employ you. I thought the man hated me. I thought I'd done something.
Were you doing well where you were?
I was doing well. The PR department, I was helping to edit the magazine, the PR, magazine, and I was always hands-on writing articles. And so I didn't know why.
Understand why.
But he said, go and try it. And every time I say this and I regret, and I keep saying I need to go and find him or find his family and to say thank you properly, I went and never went back to Internal Revenue PR department to say thank you. I went there and immediately journalism fell in love with me. And I fell in love with PR. Journalism, I'm sorry. I became assistant reporter to some of the big boys. Now, Mr. Frank Ajekum, assistant to the former president John Ajekum Kufuor, Dave Agbenu. They were the parliamentary correspondent at GNA.
Yes,
I used to follow them. I went to Ghanaian Times. I met my now professional, godmother, Mrs. Leslie from Asari, amazing woman. Oh, I thought that woman hated me. Oh, she was so hard on me. She would send me on assignment. I come and she would fold it and put it in a bin. Go and write it. But one day she just kicked me out on the street to go and look for a story. I came back with a story for a little girl who was selling. It wasn't sachet water. This was 95, 96. The one in the... that type. And I got her story about how she was brought from the village to come to school and what she was being used for, virtually as a slave. And, the risk she goes through. She had been knocked down several times by, bicycles and cars and so on. So I did that story. She helped me, Mrs. Leslie Hefron, helped me refine it, and it became a front page story on the Ghanaian Times.
And this wouldn't have been realized if she had not kicked you out to go do it.
Exactly. And my father got that newspaper and roamed the length and breadth of Tema, showed it to every single person. That this is Nana's story. I mean, that's my, name.
Well, Nana was a name.
Yeah, okay. Nana's story. Nana is Gifty Anti. Nana's story are your front page. Matobi. I'm sure that the Ghanaian Times sold more than any other thing.
He became a foot soldier for it.
Exactly. That was my father.
Wow.
And then I realized how proud my father became. I said, no, I have to, because I naturally love writing. I have to put my all into this. And so I also fell in love with journalism. And it's been there to the extent that for my master's degree, I did international journalism. I didn't do communications.
Wow.
So I tell young people that sometimes you may think that is not your field, that's not, but sometimes you can be guided. Sometimes you can find yourself in a field that you think this is not where you want to be. But if you make that little effort to fall in love with it, you'll be amazed the doors that it can open for you. I started as a reporter. I became a presenter. Then I hosted my own show. I became a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, conference speaker across, the world. Now I'm an author. It's the same process. But then every time it's opening a door, a different door that I didn't know I didn't know I could. I mean, people had told me several times, you should write a book, you should write a book. I was like, me, write a book, write about what? But then when the time was right,
within and you put in
year,
effort.
I put in the effort. Within a year, I wrote 3 books. Actually released 3 books because I had written 5 books.
Wow.
You know, so it's all about your effort and making that extra attempt or determination to be passionate about it.
That's the word, passion.
Passionate about it, and it will make a difference. Great difference. You'll be amazed.
With all these being said, I mean, I just want to find out from you, do you personally believe in faith?
I'm a woman with super crazy faith in God.
Wow.
I'm a woman with super crazy faith in God. Everything that I've been through, I believe that has been ordered by God. Because when I look at where I'm coming from, I shouldn't be here.
Wow.
I shouldn't be here. You know, that's why when Dinah Hamilton, when she sent me her song, her latest song, I don't, normally when she's releasing, she'll send it to me, Auntie, listen to it, what do you think? I said to her, Dinah, why? Why did you decide to write my story? I don't look like what I've been through, but I've been through a journey, a process. It hasn't been easy, but it's all been a process. Today I wrote on Facebook, and when I posted one of my pictures, that I had been nursed in God's garden. I was a seed nursed at God's garden, and so germinating was inevitable. Simply because I've been through fire, I've been through it all. I've been through very painful and difficult times. And so at the appointed time, when God decided, okay, this is it. I think maybe you've learned your lesson, this is it. He started opening. So somebody will say me, oh, she's lucky, she's this. Some of the things I don't understand. I'm 50 years, 9 months. And I was 50 in January. I mean, why would anybody would want to use me as the brand ambassador for a product or, you know, and I just ask myself, why? But then it's because maybe I've gone through the fire. And by the grace of God, I didn't give up. I didn't give up.
Wow. Guys, 020222207. We have room for some questions from you as well. If you want to join in the conversation, the hashtag is Wiley the Board Series. Don't forget, it's on Y107.9 FM. Oheneyere, give us a glimpse of a typical day in the life of Gifty Auntie, the gender advocate and mother. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, what time do you even wake up? Do you sleep at all?
Oh Lord, that's the question. Do you sleep at all?
If I'm to go by your Facebook posts, like almost every hour, do you schedule them or?
No, I handle it myself, and
wow.
I don't even know how to schedule them. I'm that terrible. I'm not that very good with social media. I have to write everything myself.
Wow.
Listen, yesterday when we were going home, the princess slept on the way. That was around 5 something. We got home, she was still asleep. She slept and woke up around 12 midnight. She stayed up and wouldn't let me sleep, and she wants to play. She wants to read her Bible. She wants to write ABC.
She's all active.
So active. We finally slept around 4 a.m. this morning. And by 6, I had to be up to get her ready, and give her, her bath, make sure she eats something, and then pick her up, put her in the car. We go here. I mean, I had to come.
She's your personal assistant.
Oh yes. So her father says I must pay her. So we came straight here, and then I asked one of my sons to meet me here, and then take her to because her teacher will have to help her through the online virtual learning. So she's gone there. But as soon as we go, she said, "Mommy, let's go shopping." I said,
she controls the day.
Yeah, let's go shopping.
Wow. How important is family to you personally?
Family is everything.
It's everything, right?
Family is everything. I tell people that, listen, when you fail, when the whole world is applauding you, and you fail at your family level, you are a failure.
Yes.
I forgive me, but I use my father as an example. My father gave birth to me in his late 50s when he was on pension from, Ghana Police Service. He was a police superintendent. And my father was that hands-on dad. He would do everything. And I've said it, my father at a point had to become a security guard, a watchman at
just
my ever-ready battery, so he could get money to take care of us. My father, whenever ready, had to collapse, had to lay some people off. He became a vendor for, insurance. Worked from Tema to Nungwa, trying to sell insurance to people so he can get commission, not even pay. Commission. To take care commission. Wow. To take care of us. So my father was a very responsible man. He was very communicative. My father, if he was the one taking care, but if he's going here, he will let you know where he's going. Wherever he's reached, he will let you know. When he's coming back, he will let you know. So I just get frustrated when I don't get people to do, that around me. But my father was, that kind of person, very responsible, and taught us how to be responsible and how important it is to be responsible. And for me, as I told you, the youngest of 8 children, all my siblings still, out tonight, they don't see me cry. When I go to places, Untitled Gifty Anti, they know they see cry.
That's the last one.
I remember my big brother could still call me when, my 40s, and he'll call me, have you locked the doors? Kind of thing. Yeah, that's a kind of family.
They still see you as a baby sister.
Yeah, yes.
You've not spoken about your mom.
Okay, so yes, my mom and my dad separated when I was very young. So my mom moved to live at Mankasim, but my dad, from everything that I've told you, very responsible. There was no way he was going to let anyone take his kids away. So my dad kept us, and I had an on and off relationship with my mom, but I actually bonded with her in the last 4 years of her passing away. My mom died from diabetes complications and cholesterol, and though I was very close to my dad, I miss my mom more because I felt I didn't have much of her. And in my latest, about 50 Nuggets at 50, I write about she didn't know. I had so many misconceptions and so many misgivings about my mom, because between my mom and my dad, my mom was the one who had the money. She was a big-time second-hand clothing dealer, Broniwe Mankasim. Everybody used to know her. But my mom was raised and socialized to believe that as a woman, education is not your field. You're supposed to marry, take care of your kids, and help the family. So she was very frustrated with, me wanting everything school. She wasn't getting it. But I got to understand that it's because she didn't know any better. She wasn't raised like that. That is why I do what I do. That is why. So people wonder, somebody who was raised by your dad, everything your dad, why are you so much into women empowerment? Just that if my mom knew better, she would have done better. Now I know better. Because my mom wasn't a bad person. She would give you anything, clothing, food, whatever she would give you. Yeah. But she didn't see the need for, this educational thing. It wasn't, because my mother was never educated. She didn't go to school. But she was doing well in her business. You get it. So what you have is what you get. That's all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think I remember many years ago, this is just clicking now. I think my mom and I were on our way to our hometown, somewhere around in Yanabasa.
Yeah.
And we got to a place, and I think it was the weekend of your mom's burial, and the posters were everywhere. And I remember the bus driver paused and said, "Oh, that's Gifty Auntie's mom."
Yeah.
I remember it's clicking somewhere around Nyan Krum. I'm not really sure. In Nyan yes.
Jumakon Road.
Wow, that's like
that's
30 minutes from my hometown.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I have chills all over my body now. Wow, goosebumps.
That was 2006. My mom died a year after my dad died.
I think it was right somewhere around Ghana 50?
Yes.
Just around, wow.
Yes.
Anyways, may her soul rest in perfect peace. Now, let's get back to the title, right? The Oheneyere title. Does it come with certain customary responsibilities?
Oh, yes, it does. I haven't spoken about it, but anyway, I wrote it in my book, so, I can talk about it. My husband, if you know him, I call him, he's like Kunta Kinte.
Okay.
he believes everything tradition. So he actually made sure that I went through the whole. So when I'm upset, I'm fighting. I say, because you want to make it difficult for me to leave you. That's why you made me go through all that, But I mean, I went through some, rituals as well. A sheep was slaughtered on my feet, the blood, just to symbolize that you've been set aside. And when they're traditional, it's just like the biblical process of blood cleansing you, and using a sheep meaning the spirit of humility as well. I become the mother of the town, so the children, the old people are my responsibilities, not take care of them, their welfare matters. There are other things that I'm involved in. Of course, I don't get involved in chieftaincy matters as well. If they say anything, I'll be consulted on the side if I can speak some words into my husband's ears, But then when the kings and queens of, Edumasa are seated, I'm not, part of it. But most of the time I'm invited because my process, as I said, is something that set me aside. I was installed, I was made to sit in front of the traditional queen mother of Akwemu.
Okay.
So I went through the process of, being installed like a queen mother. The only difference is that I wasn't, kept in a room to go through the process, and I don't come from the royal family, So it gives me some kind of extra privileges, to be able to interact with the elders.
You are like the consultant.
Kind of.
Pretty much.
And, basically, it's also because of who I was before I got married.
That makes sense.
You understand? So I always say that, I say this with all humility, I had my crown before I became Oheneyere. I had my crown, I had my name, I had my, and my husband will tell you, sometimes he goes to places and people call him Oheneyere Kunu. The chief's wife's husband.
That's the chief.
The chief's wife's husband.
Just say the chief.
No. That people don't really understand some of these traditional things.
True, that's true. That's
so there are so many misconceptions about it. So
I remember when Enyonyam was born.
Yeah.
I mean, it brought a lot of joy to you. I mean, not just you, the family, but to well-meaning Ghanaians across the country. I remember people poured in a lot of love to you.
Yes.
How were you surprised by the massive outpour of love to you? You were.
I was. I did have goosebumps. I was. I knew there were people who loved me, people who wished me well. I knew the people who looked up to me. But what surprised me was the kind of hope. Even today when I was coming, one of my ladies who always remembers when my anniversary is approaching, she sent me a message and said, Auntie Gifty, I tap into your blessing and I believe that because God did it for you, He will do it for me too. And, I called her and I blessed her. It gave a lot of people hope. A lot of people hope. People who thought that, they were in their 30s and they are not married, so they won't get married, or they are struggling to have a child, they won't have it. It gave them hope that if God did it for Gifty Auntie, He can do it for me.
Wow.
And for me, that is all I wanted. And that's why I call her Nyamie Nyonyam. The glory of God, the manifestation of the glory of God.
Wow.
Yes.
0202222073. Get your questions in. I have a lot of them coming through already. Shah's going to ask you Selassie Doku. What was the first lesson motherhood?
I know Selassie.
You know Selassie, right? What was the first lesson motherhood taught you that you'd want to pass on to any, first-time mother? I mean, expectant mother, people who are new to motherhood. What's that first lesson it taught you?
That is painful. It's hurtful. It's you take it for granted. No gratitude. No.
Wow.
But it's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience until today. I don't know whether it's because of the age I got to 47 before I had a child that is giving me this. But it's a beautiful, and I keep telling people that I don't know what my life would have been like if I didn't have a Nyonyam. she's my everything, and I go everywhere with her. She's my joy, she's my light, she's my muse, she's, my reason to wake up every morning and keep going. Motherhood is not easy. It is tough. It is painful. It's full of tears, but it is worth it, because it is simply you being responsible for another human being. You being lost in it, and everything, the focus, everything now on another human being. Little tiny human being. They say, the Bible says children are a gift from God. And when God gives you a gift, you better sit up and do what is right.
Wow. Thank you so much for all those nuggets of wisdom. You mentioned earlier that, your move to Ghana television was a risky one. Tell us about your first day at work there as a floor manager.
Oh, my first day was as a floor man. That wasn't my first day.
That wasn't your first
there.
day.
No. It was, so I can tell you about my first experience as floor manager.
Sure.
That one was very exciting because, as I told you, my life until today, everything I do, my ultimate aim is that I'll make Dad proud. My dad, and the fact that my name was going to appear on the screen, floor manager Gifty Anti, was enough.
The credits alone.
Oh, the credits alone. So I just put my all in all. My dad taught me that even if you get 1 second, you have to make it count. Let me take you back a bit. When I started coming on TV, the first day, it was by accident that I started coming on TV. I wasn't scheduled. I was supposed to be on the breakfast show as a floor manager, but I ended up being a presenter that same day.
Wow.
And I wasn't prepared. So after that, there used to be a magazine called Radio and TV Guide. They used to come out on Mondays. So the Monday, they described me as beautiful enough for the set, but not good enough for the show. I told my dad, I cried and was so disappointed. My dad said, no way, my dear. You're going to go back to do it, because you know what? The best form of revenge is to succeed. So you're going to go back there and make a mark. Your first experience, you are being referred to and being remembered as not good enough. Second, third, fourth, you will be remembered as the best for the show. And he gave me that strength, that morale, that made me go back. And I kept going back and learning and correcting myself. So it was so exciting being a floor manager. And it did open so many doors for me. But my first day at GBC, I was so scared. I was excited but scared. I'd heard so many stories and all that, and I did experience it. You go there, Charlie. The seniors, they will send you. You go check.
We'll talk more about your days at GTV still. I'm quite interested in the stories in there, the transition from your first day to where you left off. Right. But before we get into that, kindly put on the headset for me. Okay. I have a quick surprise for you. I have a lady on the line who wants to share a few words with you. Okay. Kindly assist her with that for me, guys. Sorry. All right.
YFM 107.9.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, good morning, Mitz. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Selina Bentum. And I am calling you from Accra.
All right. So, Selina, we have Gifty Anti in the studio. She's laughing now. You apparently are one of her many mentees. Who is she off the screen?
Wow, I didn't get this. I'm surprised this question is coming because I didn't expect this one, because that would take a long while to answer. Yeah, but let me make it really brief. Yes, you're right that I am just one out of probably millions of women who she has mentored personally, and also she's not even aware that she's impacting their lives, because there are many people who may never have the opportunity that some of us have had to encounter her in person, and they just know her, and they are impacted by her influence, through her, reading her books or watching her or following her on social media. But this is what I would say, that with my encounter with Oheneyere Gifty Anti, she just makes the struggles of taking up space as a woman seem practical and real. So she's not telling you stories, or she's not making you feel that you are she's a superwoman, and maybe she doesn't go through her struggles. But when you're close to her, when you come into contact with her, she is so down to earth, and she lets you know that, Selena, you're not the only person going, because this is what I went through, and it sounds worse than what I am going through. I'm like, hang on. If she has been able to go through this and gone, and now is where she is, then it's okay. Number two, it's taking up space as a woman comes in different shapes for us as women. For some of us women, our journey seems so simple. She just finished school, she gets married very early, she has children very early in life. She's working 8 to 5, and she's okay. She has, happy home, happy children, and doing amazing in that space as a woman. For others, we have to go through struggles to figure out the path. And it may seem that we're just too strong or, considered masculine, just because we have that extra heart. That's how she calls it. A big head, carries a big heart, she calls it. And we have to wear many hats or many caps. And so we may come across as just too strong, or that we may not be able to be good as managers at home. And others also have to take up political space, have to take up, a career path that is male-dominated, like in her case in the media's fraternity as well. But when you come into contact with Oheneyere Gifty Anti, it makes it seem that it's okay, that we all may take different paths, but in the end, feeling fulfilled in our assignment that God has given us is all that matters. Being correct in the eyes of God and being able to impact a life is all that matters. So this is what I will say about Oheneyere Gifty Anti when it comes to this. She just makes struggle seem real and practical, and that is okay, and we can take up space no matter what our space may be defined.
Wow. Thank you so much, Selena. And trust me, this is straight from your heart, because you didn't even expect this question.
No, I didn't.
With us. She's listening to you now. If you have anything extra you want to tell her direct, kindly talk to her. She's listening.
Oh, I got this call. I got this message surprisingly this morning that I know this was going to happen. And I've said this to you, Oheneyere Gifty Anti, in person many times, and that you make it seem easy and real. And I will not forget, if there's any moment of my life when it comes to my encounter with you, is that moment when I walked into your office, my mind was blank, didn't know what to expect. And we just held hands, and you just spoke these powerful words into me that, Selena, is going to be okay, and you're not going through this alone. Because I was so overwhelmed with all of the challenges, and it seemed that it was not going to end, even though I could see the lights coming, but it's still, the darkness was just too overwhelming. But you made me feel that it was okay. And you shared your struggles with me, made me feel that, wow, it is fine, it's going to be well. And I wanted you to know that you are so much appreciated, that you are going to reap the seed that you're sowing in our lives. You're going to reap it. Maybe you may not see them, it's not, but it is coming in a harvest that you will not expect, in moments that you will not expect. And from the depth of our hearts, I'm speaking not just for myself, but for many, many girls, many, many women that you've known and you don't know, that you are impacting and shaping their lives, that we love you, we appreciate you, and we honor the gift of God upon your life.
Right.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Selena. God bless you. Thank you for
God bless you too.
Bless me this morning. Hey, maybe say I a prophetess. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much, Selena, for taking time off your busy schedule to speak to us.
And pass through the office tomorrow. In your day, tomorrow is my wedding anniversary. You need to pass through the office.
Come and let
me bless you.
That is my mommy talking. It's not asking whether you're going to be around or not. She says, come, show up.
Thank you so much. So Selina is a founder and executive director of African Foundation for Premature Babies and Neonatal Care. She's a mentee of Oheneyere Gifty Anti. Oh, that feels good. I mean, I'm sitting back just... These are true words from her heart. I mean, you've touched so many lives. And, I mean, in the middle of this, I'd like to say God bless you. I know a lot of ladies, and I mean, guys, who look up to you. You know, your story inspires a lot of us. We haven't heard the full version, though. But so far, I mean, thank you so much. Selina has just testified to all that. And I believe that the many others who are out there who have, passed through your office. I mean, the ones that have experienced your relationship are quite grateful as well. I mean, Selina has spoken for all of them. I still want to find out more.
Yeah.
So tell us about the process you went through and the sacrifices you needed to make before finally being handed the prestigious role of a newscaster at GTV. Because back then, I mean, we all knew what it took to get on there. It was an industry that had not been, super infiltrated by a lot of people. Right. It was just for a few people. How did you get in there?
I needed to serve. I needed to prove myself. I needed to make sacrifices. So it's not like I know I'm for morning shift and therefore I go to work and expect to close at 2. No. If I go on assignment or I go with a senior until the senior finishes her story, edited, and for it to be approved and she's going, I don't leave. There were days I go to work in the morning, I get home at night, sometimes after 11. Because the senior I went to work with, didn't finish her story on time, or we were assigned late, or sometimes if I'm assigned alone, I go to work in the morning by, 6 o'clock I'm at work, and instead of closing at 2, 1:30 I'm assigned to go on assignment. That means there was no, and there were times maybe you'll be on an afternoon, and when I started appearing on the breakfast show, I go to work by 5 a.m. at work to do the breakfast show. We finish at, it used to be a 1 hour, then it became 2 hours. So finish around 8, and then straight to go to the newsroom to go and continue working in the newsroom, go on assignment. There isn't like, oh, you've done the morning show, and so you are tired, we give you, no, you need to work. And before I became a presenter, we had to go through training. Miss Roberta Gardner took us through training programs, the pronunciation, the grammar, how to communicate, took us through that. And I remember when we were certified by her to present the news, they wanted us to start at 10 p.m., the 10 p.m. news. And then some of our seniors said no, they were not going to allow us to do, because it was 10:30. 10:30 news was a major news bulletin, and they were not going to let us go, that we have to start at 12. Some of my colleagues, of course, protested, and I wasn't too happy as well. But I decided, okay, why not? And it was the best decision they took, and it was the best thing they did for us, because they made us start the 12 o'clock news on weekends. And because it was different, though I was doing the breakfast show and I'd become so concerned with it, news was different.
Yes.
Presenting news came with some level of seriousness.
I remember.
So it was different. And my first few weeks, I made so many mistakes, and I had to. And if I had started at 10:30, I would have been dropped straight. If I started at 10:30 and made those mistakes during the 10:30, because the 10:30 news was well watched by veterans, by, all sort of, and those times they had so much power, former broadcasters and the veterans, they would call after presenting the news. After presenting the news, you have to sit by the phone in the newsroom for about 15 minutes. If no call comes in, then you are free to go.
Wow.
Otherwise they will call and, correct you or commend you or criticize you or, really tell you off for something you did or something you said. And they were respected because they had really traveled that journey and they knew what it took. Now, you can't correct anybody.
I mean, I was going to come to that.
Yeah.
But before we even get to it, do you remember an instance where maybe a call came in for a mistake that you you,
oh, yes.
you might have committed.
Oh, yes.
And then, you felt very bad.
Yes.
One that really got to you?
I mean, I was embarrassed. Because I had no reason making that mistake. And, well, hey, I wrote quite recently that it's good to laugh at yourself. So let me say, Buenos Aires. I went to say Buenos Aires.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine?
You didn't see the E at the end.
No. I don't know why I said that.
But this is something you knew before.
I knew before. And,
pressure.
I don't know whether it was pressure or tiredness or whatever. So they really gave it to me. And it wasn't just one call.
Wow.
The then acting director general called, some of the veterans called, some of the viewers called. Oh.
And you were still pardoned.
And yes. It was like, what happened to you? How could you? I felt so embarrassed, but, it also made me feel that there were people watching me and looking out for me. Because apart from criticism, they weren't just, criticizing to destroy you, but they also encouraged me that
to make you better.
To make me better. To make me better. Because sometimes when you're not sure, ask. And that's one thing I do. I mean, I work in my own company. I have a staff of about 6 of them. I judge all with them. Sometimes I don't know it all. I ask their opinion. It doesn't matter. You can learn from the young. You can learn from the old. You can learn from anybody. And that's one thing I did during my days at GBC. If I don't know the correct pronunciation, I will ask Selikem, who was my junior. I would ask Abdul. I would ask Soyoko. It doesn't matter who it is. When I'm sitting there and I get it right, nobody knows that somebody behind the scene helped me.
Helps you.
You understand? If it's a local name, one of my most exciting days was when, I was presenting the news and it was about Dom Kwabinya. And I said Dom Kwabinya. People say Dome Kwabinya.
Yes, Dome Kwabinya.
And I said Dom Kwabinya. And I had the corner. And then it was fun. It's like, Gifty, that is it. Some of
that's the actual pronunciation.
Yeah, Dom Kwabinya.
Dom Kwabinya. You've all been saying Dome Kwabinya.
Yeah.
Dome. I actually mentioned that today.
Yeah.
I think it was in one of the LPMs and I said, so I have changed. It's Dom Kwabinya.
It's Dom Kwabinya.
Dom Kwabinya. Wow.
Yes. And then there's another one, Amasaman. It's Amasaman.
It's Amasaman, not
Amasaman.
Oh.
Amases town.
Not Amas Goods.
No.
We need training.
So some of these things, you get it right. And because I asked. You go on air and you say it, and then they just, applaud you, and they're so proud of you. So they're the good, they were the bad,
You were able to excel through all these days. I mean, technology had not advanced like it is now.
Yeah.
Tell us what it took for a single news bulletin to be executed well. Before that, how do you guys put the news together? While you're on there, if mistakes come up or findings come up, how do you cut it? How does it work?
Okay, so first of all, you go on assignment. You come, you write your story, handwritten, and then you give it to the typist to type it for you. And then after that, you take it to the editor who will go through it, make all the corrections, take it back to the typist
to be typed
again and corrected. And then the editor will go through it again. If everything is okay, you go to the sound booth to go and record your sound, your voice. That is, if you've been cleared to do voiceovers, to go and record your voice. You go to the editing room and, match pictures with videos. Match videos with voice and pictures, make sure you get everything right. And then it will go through that. It have to be it has to be previewed, if it's okay, before it will be taken to the newsroom or to the studio for it to be added to the news bulletin.
And all this is done by that. That's just one story.
That's just one story.
Wow.
That's just one story. And then we graduated when we had the computers where you file your story. It will go to the computer. The editor will edit it on the computer, send it back to you before you print it out, and you go and do the voice over, and then you do the editing as well. And then it goes to the studio and becomes part of the bulletin,
So all this goes through before we hear this is Gifty Anti reporting.
Exactly. That's yes, before. And even to this is Gifty Anti reporting, it has to be approved that what you said was right, the grammar was okay, the pronunciations were okay, before, you are allowed to do. Because sometimes your Gifty Anti reporting will be taken out of it because the editing was heavily done, heavily edited. And so you don't earn the credit, though you were to report it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you look at now, because you're still working in the field now, you cast your mind back to back then and then now. Has there been a massive change? Are things easier now?
Oh, things are much easier now. Oh, things are much easier now. I see people present the news at those times they would have said they are not qualified to, because either their voice is not good enough, or something. Things are easier now. People get, opportunities, to become reporters, to become presenters. Those times you have to go through a lot of training, a lot of scrutinizing, I mean, quite recently I was watching, and I love to, every night before we sleep, we watch the international networks, CNN, BBC, Sky, we go through it, Al Jazeera, find out what is in. And you see these seasoned presenters like Christina Mampo and others. But if it had been here in Ghana, they would say, oh, why Abrewa, she's old, why is she still on TV? Why is she still? But you always need people who are experienced, who have gone through it. And now we don't have experts. Some of the reporters and presenters, we call them experts. There's no index. Sometimes they have to call experts from the University of Ghana or wherever it is coming.
That's true.
But then if you have people who have really gone through the process, they have been, parliamentary correspondent, they know the system, they know the procedure, they know how things go. I mean, you get quality. You get quality. Now, people
so we don't
pick
get
up
a lot
stories.
of them being spoon-fed on the job, so you just carry the title and then you don't really
now
know the details
there's too much spoon feeding. There was no way. Now there are people who don't go on assignment, they are just presenters. And those times you lie by. I tell people that I'm one of the most traveled around the country news presenters that Ghana has ever had. If you look at the scars on my leg, it's all from
You've gone
the
through the
northwest.
bushes.
The bush, I've been everywhere to bring stories. And yes, I was a news presenter. I wasn't big enough to go to the villages.
Let me ask you a question. If you had a Nyonyam earlier, if marriage and family life had set in earlier, would you have still gone through all these things? Would you have had time? Do you think you would have been able to do all these?
Honestly, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. Because being a mother and doing the kind of job that we do as journalists is not easy. Of course, there are some who are married and have kids and are doing great now. But during our time, if you remember, those times they will tell you, you can't be a presenter and marry, or you can't have a husband when you're, on TV. You can't have kids when you're on TV. And we saw it happen. Some of my senior colleagues who got married whilst I was there and had children suddenly dropped, became, desk bound.
Yes.
They couldn't go out anymore. They couldn't, stay late to do news reporting or present the news. Things changed for them. Things changed for them. And knowing the kind of person that I am, I'm sure I would have gone through the same. If I'd had a child earlier. But I don't know what the plans that God had for me. But I was doing everything I was doing because I told myself at a point, my father was dead, my mother was dead, I was not married, I had no child. What have I got to do? Make an impact, make a mark, work hard, achieve something, so that when the time comes for me to settle and have kids, then I can slow down. But thankfully, I got married to a man who is always asking me, so what is next? Can you believe it? What is next? So, I keep going all the time. But even that, I have slowed down a bit because I always think about my little girl. There are places I can't go now. There are things I can't do now because I can't go with her. And I don't want to leave her for that long. You know, so I have slowed down a bit. A friend of mine said, "We'll slow down, Pony. If this is slowing down, then please, I don't want to see your fast, you know." But
at what point did you decide to do your own show, and what motivated that?
So, I mean, it's no secret, especially when I started coming on TV and became a presidential correspondent. All the stories that were being churned out about me. The stories, the tales, it was a bit too much. And I always felt like, is it because I'm a woman? Is it because I'm a young... I mean, those times I was the youngest, you know, female on TV as a presenter, you know. So, I mean, is that it? Why all these things? And then, fortunately or unfortunately, I went to do my master's. And I met a very strong woman who was my journalism lecturer, Christabel Ken, and who was a feminist. She was the first female to appear on BBC International. Not BBC, but BBC International. Okay. She was the first female to appear on it, and she wanted me to stay on after my master's degree. Okay. I said no, I wanted to come back. She said, "Gifty, you talk about your dad. Your dad is dead and gone now. So what is there for you in Ghana?" And I said, "No, I still have to go to Ghana. There's something for me to do." And so she said, "Okay, then I want you to make me this promise. When you go, you are going to do something to change the lot of the Ghanaian woman. You are going to empower the Ghanaian woman. You are not going to let whatever you have learned here go to waste. You are not going to let your challenges be your own, because God gave you this opportunity, not just for you, but for the greater good."
The greater good of the world.
So I came back.
Purpose.
Yeah, I came back, and, you know, I wanted to feel the power. I wanted to bring changes to, you know, the breakfast show, to do and it was quite frustrating because I wasn't the boss. You know, I wasn't the boss. I can only suggest. And I must say, yes, they gave me a lot of leeway, you know, but then it got to a time when I realized, listen, why not? Let me start a show of my own and bring women, you know, to come and talk. Let people know that they are knowledgeable women, they are powerful women. There are women out there who are doing better than me. So it's not just me.
Yes.
You know, it's not because somebody's sleeping with me, that's why I have a loud voice or I'm assertive and speak my mind. No, but because I've got something to offer. Yes. So that's what brought about the standpoint. You know, I wanted to do in partnership with GBC, but then my then director said, listen, GBC needs money. If you can find your money and privately produce it, and it won't conflict with your job at GBC, go and find the money and come and do it. That's how it started.
You
so
did
from day one, yes, it's been 12 years. July this year was 12 years since we started the standpoint.
Which of the interviews you've done so far would you describe as your favorite, most memorable? I mean, one that you still think about every day.
Wow.
I think I watched one with Auntie Joyce Ayi a while back.
My everyday mama. When it comes to the standpoint, there are so many of them. But there's one that stood out for me was with Auntie Gifty, Reverend Dr. Gifty Afeni
Dazi, yes.
And then he had Her Excellency Madam Anna Bosman, and I think Auntie Joyce too was on it. You know, the three of them. And it was the early stages of the standpoint. And they poured out without fear or favor. Those were the days when people would just massacre you and say, and those times it's not social media. They wrote about us in the papers, and you could keep social media. It can vanish sometimes. So no. People will keep.
They are kept.
The papers are kept, you know, and they shared the experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I was amazed that if these great women, great achievers, could actually speak up freely and tell their stories as it was, then who am I? I have a lot more job to do.
Yes.
And actually helped me change the face of the standpoint. Because then I realized that there were so many underlying factors that was making it difficult for women to come up and take up positions of authority. because of the things that will be thrown at them.
Yes.
The debt, the name calling, the insult, the attacks on their families. But these women had gone through it all.
Yes.
But they had stood the test of time. I mean, Auntie Gifty, Reverend Dr. Gifty Anti, I have, and I wrote about her in my book, had a personal experience with her when I was accused of, doing something, and she was then the GGA president, and she stood up and she said, no way, I was going to be suspended, or whether, I don't know whether I was going to be sacked also. And she said, no way, bring the tape, let's all sit and watch and play back and show me where she went wrong. Because then, the son of Odate Wellington, the son of the late, was it General Wellington, was on it. And we were just having, it was an election in 2000. And we were discussing, and President Rawlings, Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, had gone somewhere in the Bunahafo region then. And he knelt down, to beg the people to vote for the NDC. And then he made a statement, but you don't know, as for Rawlings, he's a cold man, or you call it right now. I mean, no matter how upset you are with him, when you meet him, the way he will relate to you, you'll forget about everything. And we all laughed. It was in a very light form. It wasn't in a very denigrative or negative manner. But then it was made to look like something else. And I tell you this, years after, I found out that all the things I was made to go through after that didn't come from Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, former president. It didn't come. Sometimes the people around the great people create the problems for them when they had no clue. Because I met him at an assignment years after. It wasn't years, I think a year or two after. And he saw me like, young lady, how are you? I said, he said, I later on forget that you went through so much because of that. I didn't know. You are my mother's granddaughter. Yes. Wow. I grew up in yes. I mean, we're left right opposite his mother's, I mean, I call her Auntie. May she rest in peace, Amazing woman. I grew up with her grandchildren, Sharon and the others, went to vacation classes. So, I mean, there's so much I knew, but I never had to come out to say anything because I was almost always in that house from the 79, those days and everything. So it's like, it was because his mother had made a comment to him that, I hear you did well. Don't you remember this girl? And he was shocked.
He had no hand.
He had no hand, So there would be calls that, they said I should come to the, the castle. I'll be made to go and sit at the chapel, and they will say the old man will see, and he had no clue I was there.
Did moments like this make you ever feel like you were in the wrong calling?
Oh, yes, several times.
Several times?
Oh, several times. Several times when the attacks came. But then every time I reminded myself what my dad told me, the best form of revenge is to succeed. You are here. What are you going to make out of it? What are you going to make out of it? I remember this case, they went to police CID, the case was filed, they said they will process me for court. All sort of things were said. It never came to anything because, as I said,
really nothing.
He didn't know anything about it. It wasn't coming from him. It wasn't coming from him. But if I had given up, I would have given up on myself. So I used to tell my junior colleagues at GBC that some of the things I go through, and I don't give up, I keep pushing, I keep doing it. It's just to prove to you that it can be done. It can be done. I always want you to know that if Auntie Gifty did it, if Sister Gifty did it, then you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
So you put yourself through all these moments. I mean, of course, with the inspiration you had gained from Dad and all that. Yeah. All right. So at this point, I want to find out, right, what moments or what would you consider your biggest career-defining moments? And what was, its results? What did it result to?
For me, it was
the outcome?
Moving from GBC to be on my own. it was a big step.
And the result has been positive.
It has been positive. It's been major. It's been amazing. It's been transformational. It's been. I mean, I don't even know the words to use now. But it was scary when I was going to move there. I mean, everybody told me you're making a big mistake because at least you can, with GBC, at least you can get your salary at the end of the month. You are assured of your end of service, whatever it is. But funny enough, since I left GBC, I haven't had my end of service, whatever. I haven't received it yet. Thank you so much, Ali. I haven't received it yet. But, you know, it was scary. But you know what? I didn't just move. I planned. I planned, and I tell people, young people, whenever I get the opportunity to speak to them, don't just move.
Have a plan.
Sometimes you need to plan, whatever it is. Even in an abusive marriage, sometimes, yes, you need to run. But then, sometimes you need to plan. It took me years. I knew I was going to go. So for years, I was actually planning towards it. When I get a little money, I will let my cousin in US, Kwesi Accra, buy me one microphone. I'll contribute to get one camera. We'll get one light, whatever it is. Before I learned, make sure I had a place that I could use as a studio and office and set up. So on the 31st of December 2012, when I said bye-bye to viewers of GTV News, on the 2nd of January, I was sitting in my new office.
So you had planned and worked everything out?
I had my studio structured, everything. I had planned. You know, I should have moved. I see, you know how they say last days are dangerous?
Yes.
Things, you know, happened that I should have just run and just done, but I just told myself, no. One more. I mean, just a little more patience. When I said I was leaving, people thought I was. I mean, there was those who said that, oh, Gifty Aunty, you won't survive. You won't survive. The way Gifty Aunty likes TV, the way she likes being on TV Monday, Tuesday. You know, at a point, they were calling GTV Gifty TV. They said I was doing everything.
That's true.
You know, so they said I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't survive. It's been how many years? 7 years. 7 years
and still strong. Even stronger.
And even stronger.
How many members did you start with, or how many team members did you start with?
We're 3.
Just 3 people.
Cameraman,
sound guy.
No. I still don't have full-time crew.
Okay.
I actually work with them as and when we need to shoot.
Okay.
No, but it was me. She was my assistant for Fokoe, and then it was Isiama, one young man who was doing graphics. Just that. Just the 3 of us, yes. And then we had an editor who joined us later. You know, we became 4. That's how.
All right, sure. 0202222073. Kindly send in your questions. We're waiting for them. Big ups going out to all of the ones that have sent theirs in. Quick reminder: this is the Wiley the Board series, and I mean, we're gonna go for a quick break. I'm gonna enjoy some music, and then we'll talk more to Auntie Gifty Anti. How does that sound?
There you go. You know, a friend of mine. I went to visit her long before I got married, and her children, her son looked at me and said, "Hey, Gifty Aunty," and the mother said, "You don't respect. Say auntie." He said, but the auntie is her name.
She has an auntie already. That would be a repetition of the auntie.
I know, right? You can't say auntie Gifty Anti. So but the auntie is her name.
Well, you just changed the position.
Yeah.
So Auntie Gifty Anti, it's the same thing. Anyways, guys, we can't receive calls now, by the way. Just 0202222073. That's the WhatsApp. Send yours through, okay? 29 past 11. We're halfway through the third and final hour of the mid-morning. Extended one because we have Wiley the Board series ongoing. Oheneyere Gifty Anti is my guest today. She's on here with us. If you have a question for her, please feel free. Send it through 0202222073. When you set up the standpoints, you just told us that you started with 3 people. I mean, the team you began working with. Were there any major setbacks that you remember?
Oh, yes, there were. I mean, before I started, I moved to my own studio. I was actually filming at African Region Hotel, you know, for almost 3 years, for 3 to 4 years. We're filming at the lobby. We're using their drawers as table. to do that. So I have a special passion for African Region Hotel. Interestingly, when I was kept in quarantine too, that's where they took me.
That's where they took you.
So actually, my fourth book is based on my experience there during the quarantine at the African Region Hotel. I call it Room 5005. That room, I have to find money and go and sleep there again. And that time, that I'll sleep there and make sure they come and save me. But, you know, we were recording from there. They supported us. You know, it was so awesome. And then we finally moved there. But it was quite challenging. Paying of rent, paying of airtime because it used to be... you know, it from day one, it was private production. But then somehow when I moved out of GBC, and because I was at GBC, and though it was private production, a lot of people thought that it was a GBC production.
Yes, yes.
A lot of people thought, you know, so it was easier getting, you know, sponsorship. But then, so getting sponsorship was tough. People, I had to, some of my staff, the original one, had to leave and move on to bigger things and better things because it was a real struggle. So we had people come in and go. There were many times I asked myself, am I sure I want to do this? But then, if you know me, I said I'm a rebel. I wasn't supposed to have been born. I'm a pension baby. I was called accidental baby. You know, my conception, my being born and raised, I mean, nothing was normal. Everything was abnormal. Everything was odd, weird. So I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I just kept going.
I'm pushing.
I kept pushing. I kept pushing. And 12 years on, we are here.
Powerful. In your opinion, how important is it for successful women leaders to take up leadership roles, especially in politics?
It's very, very important. It's crucial because representation matters.
It matters, yeah.
You know, representation matters. And listen, there are things that even in my traditional marriage that my husband, as I said, he's a legacy hunter. My husband, all he thinks about dreams, and in my book I wrote about the fact that I'm like the third most important thing or person in his life. It's first his chieftaincy, his people, and then before we come in. But everything he dreams and everything, what he can do for Edumasa, how he can help the people, how he can do that. But then since he got married to me, he was telling that there are things that I have done.
Yeah. Like
the library, setting up a library there. Of course, he was thinking about building a school, and he has started modern school, you know, air-conditioned school. That's an answer for you. For his children in Edumasa, he wants a situation where time will come, people will travel from wherever to come to school in Edumasa. But I went in there. I saw a situation. I said, listen, these children, they don't know about. I know what reading that for me. And continues to do for me. So I decided to set up a library. He gave me a dilapidated structure. I used my platform, my social media, my friends. We renovated 2 classrooms. We set up a library. And within a matter of a year, he will admit that the literacy rate, and this one, I mean, let me say thank you to Mr. Anis Hafa, who also supported us a lot. And then Eugenia Chimensing of Spelling Bee.
Okay.
She got some of her staff to come to Edumasa to train these children for the first time in the history of Edumasa. 3 of the children came and participated in National Spelling Bee in Accra. Literacy rate shot from 40-something to 85%.
Wow.
With just 2 classrooms, you know. And that is what, you know, they don't have that modern classroom that he wants to build. Not that it's important. It's important, and he's really pushing to build it. And I agree. I mean, the kind of environment that is studying is very important. It has a way. But without that, look at the improvement that has come, in the lives of the children. I started a Happy Feet, which I'm going to do again this year. I started getting shoes, brand new shoes for the children to wear during Christmas. I mean, he wouldn't have thought about that. Yes, Christmas Day. But then, for me, it matters because it gave them some confidence. It gave them some sense of pride. And, children can be mean. And you, as a child, Christmas, you have a new shoe. And using my own experience, where you go to church, your friends have new shoe, you don't have it. And how you feel, you have this complex, inferiority complex, and you feel so left out. When these children, they get the shoes, even telling them that, listen, if you don't learn hard this year, I'm not bringing the shoes.
There's motivation for them.
It's motivation for them. You know, and also letting them know that it's people out there who donated. It builds a sense of compassion and giving in them, knowing that somebody gave. So when they grow up, they also give. It becomes a chain. So the women sometimes bring in, and not sometimes, always bring in the things that some men will overlook, but will tend to make the greater impact. That's why it's exciting to always have women at the table. It takes two. It takes the men and the women to look at both sides. You know, I wrote my Facebook when I broke my leg, my right ankle, you know, during Easter last year. And it was tough for me. It nearly drove me to depression. Me, the motivator, the inspirer, the strong, you know, it nearly drove me to depression. You know why? Because I was not used to that on the go beat. I had plans. And
now you're restricted.
You know, and now restricted for 6 weeks. I was in cast, one place. Oh, after 3 weeks, I moved. I went to print somewhere with my, you know, there's a picture of that. I'll send it to you with my, you know, with my one leg, with my cast, and then, you know, and then it just brought to mind how difficult it is when you need to just work on one leg. And that is development. Developing without the women, taking decision, making policies without the women. It's just like walking on one leg. You know, knowledge does not reside in the minds of only men or women. We all can bring something to the table.
In light of this, I mean, women empowerment and that, on the grassroots level, what are some of the ways, or what do you think are ways through which we can change or bring change to communities to ensure that the girl child is continuously empowered? Education in the family setting.
Self-worth. Letting the rural woman know that irrespective of what she's doing, it is important. Whether it is farming, whether it is selling at the market, whether it is, you know, having a small shop, or whether it is sitting at home and raising the children, she still has something she's offering. Let us draw her attention to the value she can add to whatever she's doing. I tell people that every job is worthy, it's worth doing. All you need to do is to be passionate about it, be honest, and bring dignity and pride to it. Bring it and you will succeed. We all have seen people selling, you know, roasted corn or plantain or buffalo or meat pie, well dressed, and somehow we want to buy it just because, and we make features out of them because of the way they present themselves. We've seen police officers neatly dressed, you know, and they are in traffic, directing traffic or standing in the rain and stuff, and we are impressed because of the added value. That's a little thing we bring to it. So we need to let them know that they matter. The fact that she's at, you know, Asempeni, my village, you know, going to the farm, doesn't mean that she's less important than I am. That I am more important than it. If she doesn't go to the farm, I won't get food to eat, to buy. Last year I had the opportunity of speaking to Kaya, and I told them that, listen, what you are doing, you're offering a service. And you must be proud about it. It's your job. It's your business. Without you, we all will suffer. Coming to carry this load, nobody will carry it. So you are giving us a service, and we are paying you for your service. So bring something to it. Bring dignity to it. If it's just one dress, wash it, keep it neat. Smile. And don't be so sad and forlorn-looking and angry all the time. Yeah, this is where you find yourself. Maybe the bigger picture is to establish your business in future. There's a woman in Kumasi who I interviewed quite recently. She's called something J, Uni J. She tells a story. She was a Kayayu, but she brought, dignity, business-minded. She got the help, support, and everything. And now she's one of the serial businesswomen in the Ashanti. Actually, I would say in Ghana, because she has a business in Accra as well, and all over.
Wow.
You know, so we just need to let them know, not by forcing them to tell them that, oh, you have to go to school, you have to become Gifty Auntie. We need to let them appreciate who they are.
They need to find themselves.
Exactly. And then if they want to move on, why not? Look at quite recently the 60-something-year-old woman who went to school
to write her BC.
I've had a lot of women who come to tell me that I've gone back to school because I watched you, because you said something. I didn't tell them to go to school. I just said they should add value to themselves.
Wherever they find themselves.
Wherever they find it. There's a woman in Samankese. She even featured on their standpoint. You know, she went to school. She was in class with her own children. She said she wanted to be. She was a charcoal seller. She wanted to be. Now she's a teacher.
Wow.
Yes, she was a single mother. You know, so just give the power to the women. Let them know that irrespective of where they are, they are worthy. That's why I don't believe in going to tell, a woman in abusive, relationship that, why are you stupid? Why are you mad? You know, why are you so... No. I don't do that. I let them realize who they are, what they can do, what they can achieve, what this is doing to them or can do to them. They take their own decisions. Sometimes people do the things that we find abominable because they don't know any better. They don't think they can achieve anything on their own. They don't think they can succeed on their own. When I was going to marry a chief, everybody thought, that is the end. Village chief's wife. She's going to be this and that. But I went there. I found my space. I found where I can operate. And I thank God I'm here. I haven't lost me.
Wow. Inspiring stories, guys. I'm loving this. Honestly, I'm just sitting here. I wish I was a listener at home. I won't even lie. To pick my pen and then take notes. You've spoken to a lot of people, especially on standpoint, women in particular, who have gone over the hurdles, as you mentioned. In your years of experience, after all the observation that you've done, what would you describe as the biggest challenge to the career advancement of young women, and what sort of tools should they arm themselves with in order to scale the hurdles of the corporate world and beyond?
For me, it's fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not being able to achieve. Fear of not getting a man to marry them. Fear of they not having a child. Fear. They just keep, afraid. They're just scared. They're just scared. Fear of saying no. Of course, there's the issue of harassment, sexual harassment, in the process. People are saying them. Just last Sunday, this past Sunday, the young lady I interviewed, she got a job. She finished school, and for 10 years she didn't get a job. And she was doing all sort of, trying her hands on all sort of things. Her brother was taking care of her at a certain point in her time, but she persevered. Now she's got a job. She's working. I mean, you have people say all sort of things to you. If you listen to them, fear will cripple you. Fear will cripple you. I tell people, take calculated steps. I tell women, take calculated risk. I beg your pardon. Calculated risk. Weigh your options. And always have a plan B. If this doesn't work and so on. I tell people that today, God forbid, if it comes to the worst, I can sell and I'll still be Gifty Auntie. Because it is here, it is up here in your mind and in your heart. What you learn, what you achieve can never be taken away from you. Nobody.
Deep.
Nobody. It's all about the value you add to it.
Wow.
Whatever you do, it is worth it. It's even if it's a transient, make it count.
Yes, make it count. That's the word.
Make it count.
I have a question that's related to what you just spoke about. I mean, you touched on sexual abuse and that. Kwame Aferi inside Adenta says, Rev, according to our laws, a defiled or sexually abused girl's parents are required to pay a fee at the hospital before being issued a medical report. Do you consider it a failure on the part of women groups in Ghana not to have worked hard enough to have this law repealed, or a failure in the system?
Okay. Right there is no law that says that, victims of, abuse have to pay a fee. No, it is not. It is against the law. It is illegal fees that the doctors are charging. This is something that, I'm a part of a coalition, interestingly, that is, fighting to make sure that government implements the law. Implement it, because the law is against it. And next week, the show I'm actually going to air on the Standpoint is on that. It's against it. It's the Ghana Medical Association that met and decided that they're going to charge, because apparently government was supposed to set up, government was supposed to set up a fund to cater for that. The doctors charge that fee because they say that is what will pay for their fuel when they go to court, and sometimes there'll be another region and then they'll be called to come and do, so that's what they use. So this is the money collected by the doctor, not by the hospital. Government hospitals.
I've had two experiences where, since we're talking about, let me just put it out. A friend of mine, and the first guy was abused. He was beaten by a security guard at a club. This is about 4 years ago. And so I was the one, he was actually going to, retaliate, get his people to come fight. I'm like, no, you know what? You've been beaten, there are physical bruises. Let's go to the police station. Yeah. I remember we went to the East Legon police station, let me just mention, since we're here. Yeah. And then we were told that before the reports can be submitted, or the charge can be submitted, we should go and get a medical report. So the closest was, I think, a hospital around Legon. And then we went there. The doctor on duty didn't even want to see my guy. He said before he writes a report, my guy has to pay. And this guy didn't have money. It was because of that that he was beaten. Yeah. This is the first instance. The second one was a friend of mine who's Nigerian, whose landlord had abused him and actually cut him with a knife. And so this guy had a physical cut on his face. Yeah. We went to the community hospital at Dome, at Shoman Estate. Yeah. And this doctor, I remember very well, said he has to pay 800 Ghana cedis. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, at this point, is it the money you think about? Yeah. And you're telling me if you're called to court, it is because you are there to testify. Of course, with medical proof to show that the person was indeed abused, so that the law can be applied. And so why should people pay? It goes beyond sexual abuse. It goes beyond that. It is... And these things, it's funny to find out that these things are illegal.
It's illegal. And it's, it states that, especially it's private hospitals, yes, they can charge. But public hospitals are not supposed to charge. Lawyer Martin Pebu even took this case to court. And what was ruled that it was wrong, they don't have to charge. But it's still being, and it's at the discretion of the doctor, between 300 and then, 800. Last year, actually this year, before I actually got caught up, there was a little girl in Edumasa who got, defiled, 12 years, and went to the VRA hospital. So it became my husband and I took it up, and we took to social media and said it was wrong because the doctor was demanding the money, and this little girl and her family lives on LEAP. LEAP is about 80 cedis a month or something. Where was she going to get the 300 cedis? It became a whole ballgame. The whole battle, we were called names and everything. So it is wrong. We are calling on, and as I told you, there's a coalition for survivors of domestic violence. And we are made up of a group of professionals who have issued statements. We've actually sent a petition to the president. We are asking to see the president, to talk about, we are asking for implementation that if it's government who is going to set up, yes, sometimes you can understand, maybe the doctors will say yes, because when they take the medical report, it becomes a court case, they have to call them. But government hasn't set up the fund, government will not refund their money, so they also feel that they are entitled to take their money and so on and so forth. But it is wrong. It is wrong for them to take it. There are some doctors who will tell you on compassionate grounds, so they will not take it. But there's the GMA, Ghana Medical Association, that gave their members that authority to take it.
We'll get to it. I mean, we need to have a standpoint on this.
Yeah.
And I know it's a conscious process. We'll definitely see the light at the end of the tunnel. What quote sums up your career so far?
What quote? Do I even know? Maybe we'll say the journey of 1,000 miles, right? Actually, yes, it begins with one step. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I love quoting Samini. Slow motion is better than no motion. And obeying in the movement.
Allah.
Obeying in the movement, one step at a time. One step at a time. Life is not a competition. Life is not a race. Even if it's a race it at your own pace. We've all seen people running at a marathon. Some will start giddy at a point, as they will say, they will the gas. And it become like some will start slowly, and at a point they will come and overtake. Others too will start with full speed and they are able to sustain it. We are all on a different journey. We may meet along the way, but our purpose, our destinations are different. And so we must not compare ourselves to anybody. The same people who were using me as an example to young people, saying that look at Gifty Anti with all her 45 years, she's not married, are now the same people saying that it pays to wait upon the Lord. And God makes all things beautiful in his own time, because I married at the age of 45 and I married a chief who seems not to be too bothered about what I do and what is not intimidated by it, and is not doing anything, to try to, stampede me or block my progress. Who will publicly talk about how marrying me has also propelled him onto a certain level. I mean, you don't get that, but I married somebody, so people will say this. When I married, those who said that at the age of 45, when is she going to have a child? Can she have a child? Now that I have a child, 2 years after, I said, oh yes, God is faithful. Now, super crazy faith is a movement. Some of the people I know, the things they wrote on social media, now they are my #1 fans. So it's a process. Like my father said, the best form of revenge is to succeed. And success is relative. My success may not be yours.
Your success.
There are things that I wish I had, but I don't have it. Other people have it. I celebrate them. I'm happy about them. And I pray that they will also see that I also have something together. We all have something that will move and propel this country to where it wants to. We want it to be.
We will get there.
One day we'll get there.
Thank you so much, Oheneyere Gifty Anti. You've been a wonderful guest, I must say. I really enjoyed every bit of this. Wow. 54 past 11, an hour and 54 minutes. We did it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much on behalf of Global Media Alliance, YFM, the production team.
But let me tell you this. It's your boss who put me on TV. Edward Boateng.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Mr. Edward Boateng started. He was executive producer of The Breakfast Show on
Ambassador.
GTV. Yes,
wow.
Ambassador, His Excellency, forgive me. Yes, he was the one, and it was through him that I went to do my internship at SABC Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, he sponsored me to go to CNN Awards.
Wow.
In South Africa, and then he helped me. I got the opportunity to do internship with SABC Africa. So as for here, I owe a lot of allegiance.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I mean, if you sent in your question, if we're able to tackle it or we weren't, thank you so much still. You guys made this possible.
This is YFM.